1969, Ocean City, Maryland. It's the first full year of shortboarding. Shortboard is being defined as anything under 9 foot. Typically went to 8, then 7.5, 7. Phil Hellmuth, local surfer, opened his shop in Fenwick selling Overland surfboards and other products, while Spider Wright maintained his dominant position in town. 1969 was a transitional time in many respects. Surfers were learning to climb the waves and do more critical moves like cutbacks, but yet it was common to see them knee paddling and going to the nose to get speed. Surfing styles continued to evolve as boards became specialized for East Coast waves. George Smith would eventually set up his shop in West Ocean City under the name of Bayside Surfboards. It seemed that younger people were not going to be confined by the rules that prevailed in the past. They would experiment in surfing styles as they would with other cultural issues. 1969 was a difficult time for many adults as they watched a new generation of youth questioning authority, always asking why, and refusing to accept old ways on the basis of tradition alone. This lack of understanding spilled over into politics as well, and no one person could represent these views more than former Maryland Governor and current Vice President Spiro Agnew.
Sometimes it appears that we're reaching a period when our senses and our minds will no longer respond to moderate stimulation. We seem to be approaching an age of the gross. Persuasion through speeches and books is too often discarded for disruptive demonstrations aimed at bludgeoning the unconvinced into action.
These changes were also reflected in our music. By the end of the year, Woodstock would create history and society would never be the same. Easy Rider was a hit movie that year, and Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love topped the chart. CBS canceled the Smothers Brothers, Agnew claiming the show was subversive.
Life is visceral rather than intellectual, and the most visceral practitioners of life are those who characterize themselves as intellectuals. Truth is to them revealed rather than logically proved. And the principal infatuations of today revolve around the social sciences, those subjects which can accommodate any opinion and about which the most reckless conjecture cannot be discredited. Education is being redefined at the demand of the uneducated to suit the ideas of the uneducated. The student now goes to college to proclaim rather than to learn. The lessons of the past are ignored and obliterated in a contemporary antagonism known as the generation gap. A spirit of national masochism prevails, encouraged by an effete core of impudent snobs who characterize themselves as intellectuals. The young, and by this I don't mean by any stretch of the imagination all the young, but I'm talking about those who claim to speak for the young, at the zenith of physical power and sensitivity, overwhelm themselves with drugs and artificial stimulants. Subtlety is lost, and fine distinctions based on acute reasoning are carelessly ignored in a headlong jump to a predetermined conclusion.
Looking back 40 years, we can see that some of these young people may have been misguided, but overall, the Times produced a generation of entrepreneurs like we've never seen. Technology has grown incredibly, and now we have a new generation that not only accepts change, but demands it, continuing to create new ways to make our lives easier. These same changes have also been reflected in the world of surfing over the past 40 years. Better products allow surfers to go places they could not have imagined in 1969. But it's so refreshing to see a new generation of surfers challenging waves like never before. And like the 60s generation, they'll face their own challenges: crowded conditions, beach replenishment, more restrictions on surfing. But they're surfers, and no matter what, they'll figure out a way to enjoy the waves. It wasn't necessarily better back then, just different. Here's some other trivia from 1969. Average house cost is $15,550. Average income was $8,550. Average cost of a car was $32.70, and gas prices were 35 cents.